Okay, we are live with our first author of the day, Brad from Australia. I mean, incredible. I'm so thankful that it's so late out there, and I'm glad the ashes are on. That sort of helped you stay awake, I guess.
Yeah, it did, Sandra,
Okay,
definitely.
okay. Uh, Brad,
Australia's doing well too, which is good.
okay, wonderful, wonderful. Congratulations. Um, Brad wrote one of the most important books in sales, and I was fascinated by uh, the the thought process that went behind, and he will speak about that in a moment. Brad is an organization improvement leader whose purpose is creating a better future economically, socially, and environmentally for generations to come. Brad helps organizations directly define and achieve excellence journeys. He works with organizations across many different fields: education, manufacturing, mining, agriculture, supply chain, technology, government, and health. Brad is an Agile Scrum at Scale practitioner and Lean Six Sigma black belt. He's an associate with SA Partners, the assessors for the Shingo model, the most prestigious business award for excellence in the Western world. Brad is the host of the Enterprise Excellence podcast and an award winning author. His book, Agile Sales: Delivering Customer Journeys of Value and Delight, outlines how to apply Agile to sales and marketing to amplify customer experience and business performance. And today's presentation is based on that book. Brad, welcome to the PitchLink Sales and Marketing Lit Fest, and I can't wait to have you get into your session and get started. Thank you.
Thanks, Sandra. Hey, everyone, thanks for having us on. It's great to be able to come and talk a bit about the book, Agile Sales. So, everyone, the reason I wrote the book, Agile Sales, is because a lot of sales books have been written over the time about techniques and selling strategies and elements like that, whereas not much has been written about the systems of a sales team and how to really create great frameworks and approaches and team collaboration and high performance. And I've got a big background in Agile. I've got a big background in sales. I used Agile in sales throughout my career, achieved great things. I'm going to talk, and I wrote the book about that. And I do an awful lot in Agile with many different companies nowadays. And it creates amazing performance when you apply these sort of techniques. A lot of people out of the world of Agile have used sales teams as like that customer contact. And a lot of people out of sales have seen Agile as a strange thing. Blending the two is what I'm going to talk about today. So if we look at it in organizations nowadays, typically there's the goals out there to achieve results that we're after, stay in business, stay relevant. We all know that customers are key and that having a point of difference is critical. Otherwise, staying in business and trying to sell is really difficult. The challenges we've got is that differentiation, particularly in sales, is very difficult nowadays. Everything's been commoditized. It's hard to build value back into things. Price is becoming really powerful and you can be driven down on price. There's also the uncertainty of what's to come. So I think there's a lot out of Agile and a lot out of the book Agile Sales that you can use to help navigate this and put yourself in that stronger position. Today, I'm going to talk about a few case studies of how people have done that out of the book. If you look at Agile, typically, this is a list of the largest companies in the world at the moment. The bulk of them are using Agile techniques to rapidly grow and scale and create innovation and insane customer outcomes, or at most blends of lean and Agile. And I guess there's proven success in what most of these companies have achieved and others can achieve. And a lot of them have gone from being very small to become very large over the last 30 years. It's been amazing. So with the book Agile Sales, if I start from the right-hand side across, first of all, it talks about how do you really understand your customers deeply and using Agile techniques? How do you build sales process in a way that you actually execute work that aligns to that, actually sell to the customer the way they want to be sold to, align to the customer buying journey? I talk a lot about and train on customer journey mapping and how you do that to achieve that. Then through the middle of the image, Scrum, Motion, Kanri, Kanban, that's all about the techniques of Agile in your teams and how you create really high performance in sales teams using Agile techniques. Leader standard work and the whole leadership piece I also wrote about. And there's a piece of leaders who serve, that is key to Agile and key to creating autonomy and high performance. I'll talk a little bit about that. If we go on to the next slide, we talk about customers. So some stats that I'm finding here in Australia and that I know have been found elsewhere is about 70% of buyers nowadays don't perceive they get value from salespeople. But 71% of buyers, they actually want salespeople to help them overcome challenges. So there's a gap there. You know, most buyers don't see salespeople as valuable, but they would love someone to help them. The key to it, to overcoming this and actually making the two worlds meet, where buyers actually do want help, but they don't perceive value in salespeople, and how do we connect those two, is really that salespeople, if we can gear organizations that we really understand who our ideal customers are, understand their attributes, and then the people that we're going to be dealing with in there, and then we can get our salespeople and our organizations to place ourselves in their shoes and really think from that perspective, we can find the way as sales organizations to really connect the two dots there that aren't currently connecting. The way that you do that, and I write about in the book Agile Sales, is persona mapping and empathy mapping, and really building this deep understanding of your customers. There's some survey techniques, some ways that you can actually gain key information to know who your ideal customers are, who your key people are, build persona maps, and start to really sit in that position of the customer and put your salespeople or the whole organization in the shoes of the customer, and then make decisions on that as to how do we build frameworks and approaches to really deliver great outcomes for customers and innovate. The next part then that's critical is our sales process or our sales framework that we use, and looking at how do we align what we do in sales to what customers actually want. You know, 71% of customers want salespeople that are going to help them overcome challenges and move towards their goals. The way we got to do that consistently is to build some sort of framework or approach to do that. We need to align into that journey the customer wants to go on and do it differently to our competition. Michael Porter, who's the legend in competitive advantage, he said recently in a podcast and work he did that one of the main competitive advantages you can actually sustain is process, and the other one is culture. And that's what a lot of Agile organizations have done, is through process or a framework and team culture, they can outcompete the competition. The way you do that is through customer journey mapping. Taking that research you've done on your customer and the personas you've got and that work you've done to place yourself in the customer's shoes, you then map the customer journey that you're currently giving customers, from discovery through research when they actually engage you, through purchase to delivery, and then are you getting customers to devotion? And then you go back and map, well, what would be the ideal way that these customers that we've explored would really want us to engage with them and to sell to them and take them through a buying journey. Out of that, you end up with a sales framework or a sales process that you can then gear up your capability on as teams and get great outcomes for customers and for yourselves. Here's some examples of that. So Signet is a large packaging company in Australia. Packaging's become commoditized. You talk pallet wrap and tape and things like that. They really dug deep into their customers through persona mapping and empathy mapping and doing surveys and great data gathering. They were then able to do customer journey mapping and build a sales process that really aligns their customer. So that previous persona I showed you was one of theirs, which is the head of a factory who's all about that factory surviving and not having downtime in my factory and getting greater performance out of my factory so I don't get shut down. They built a continuous improvement style approach to their sales process to really deliver great outcomes. And they do that for personas in a warehouse also. So they target factories and warehouses largely and supply chains and get great outcomes through continuously improving for them through their sales process. The other case study I've got for you there is Kimberly-Clark. They have, again, it's a process that they align to the customer buying journey, the journey the customer wants to go on, and they all practice it. It's, again, more of an improvement approach. I think you'll find this if you're a company where you are selling to, especially B2B, customers are looking for that ongoing improvement approach. Typically, they're after someone that really helps them solve problems. If you're talking B2C, a lot of it is about ongoing experiential outcomes, you know, so it's got the same connotation, but it's how can you give us that ongoing experiential and engagement approach? But it often ends up being in a loop, a circle, because to deliver great outcomes and delight the customers, it's always going to be a circular loop. Once you've got a framework through customer journey mapping, and I write about that in the book, you can then build a really unique competitive advantage approach to the way that you sell. And then you can build capability of the way that you onboard people, train people, develop people, and also the resources and tools that you build around this. If you look at both Kimberly-Clark and Signet, you'll find a lot of great resources that they have online that they use to delight customers, but also help provide resources to the sales team. That's the next part I want to talk to you about, is then out of Agile. Agile's mastered how to achieve the highest performance teams in the world, creating autonomy at the front line and great cultures of focus, calm, motivation, performance. Now, with Agile, there's been some revolutionary things. You know, it's creating this focused, autonomous team, but it's also about looking at teams differently. In Agile, you form a team, typically small, 5 to 8 people, based on the customer, not based on the silos of your company. This could mean that you end up with a team that involves a technical person, someone who's a sales specialist, a marketer. It could be quite a cross-functional team that you end up with. And then it's all about that team having that clear vision and executing through visual performance towards that. And I'm going to show you some examples of that in a moment. The first element I want to show you is that Agile, when you've got that team, you've got this autonomous, focused, potentially cross-functional small team. Agile is then about that team having an aligned vision and challenging goal. Now, when I say aligned vision, it needs to be aligned to the organization's vision, where the organization is going, but also who they serve, their internal customers, the next people in the process in the company, but also, of course, those external customers. So if an Agile team has a really compelling vision that is aligned to the people they serve, but also the organization, and they've got some aspirational goals for that, that's a really strong starting point. The next part of a high-performance Agile team is working in sprint sequences. What these are is time-boxed sequences where you're looking to achieve a short-term vision and goal that moves you towards your aspirational vision and goals. And these are iterative sprints you do. Typically, teams start off at a monthly sprint, and they look to create a backlog of work to help them get there, execute it. That backlog in sales could be target opportunities, target lead generation you're looking to get indoors. It could be improvement backlog items you're looking to do to create new resources or do different things to delight customers or astound customers. And you execute that throughout, say, the month and look to get to that next short-term goal towards your aspirational goal. It's all that basically it's about in a very simple way. There is training you can get on that gives you the full-blown Agile sales type of background, and you can go to the Enterprise Excellence Academy if you want to look into that. When you come to some case examples, Agile, you often see teams with visual performance boards that show their vision, show their aspirational goals and their short-term goals, and also the backlog of work they're working on to get there over that, say, that monthly sprint. The teams meet at these boards typically for 5-10 minutes every day or twice a week. It's about constantly reviewing how we're tracking and adapting if we have to. This is what brings that agility from the word Agile and why the word Agile came about. But it is a very structured way that we do things. It's not just a free-for-all. That's an important thing to note. The system creates agility, and I write about that in the book, Agile Sales. It can also be a physical board. This is Tom, the head of the internal sales at Signet. There's a junior internal sales team. They're all together in the one office. They use a physical board and execute using Agile as a team towards their aspirational vision and goals and move towards that. It's a really cool system. So that's the end of my presentation, which on Agile sales. If you want to learn more, like I've covered a few topics on it there, that there's a lot more to it when it comes down to it. You can go to the enterpriseexcellenceacademy.com and check out the information there on Agile. You can also reach out to me through LinkedIn. There's only one Brad Jeavons. So look up me on LinkedIn and reach out, and I'd love to help out further. That's great. Any questions, please let me know.
That was a great session. It was very well encapsulated. I think there are a lot of thinking points that people would have to carry back. And thanks for those nice examples, Brad. I really, so a lot of times when you're talking of concepts, it's difficult to sort of connect with your own day-to-day activity, right? So listening to this, one might think, oh, this is too complex, and how do we execute something like this? Okay, this is not going to happen. But I think that last example was a great one to show that if you are wanting to do it, a simple Kanban kind of board, physical board can work wonders for people, right?
Or electronic, whatever works
Yeah,
really
yeah, of
when it
course,
comes
of
down to it.
course, absolutely. Absolutely. So this is the book. This is if you click that button, it will take you to wherever it is available. Uh, yeah. So let's have the questions. I think we are getting some. Uh, okay. Uh, the first one there.
So what defines culture? I'm writing a book on that in a minute. So on leading excellence, it's basically two things. It's the systems of a company, the way that processes work and the way we measure people and the way we onboard people and the way we train people, the way we run Agile or not, the way we run our meetings, the way we do our processes. It's all those systems. And the other thing is largely leadership behavior. So the behavior of leaders, but also informal leaders. So when I say informal leaders, it could be the people in your team that have a very powerful voice, because we as humans are so influenced by social influence. We are crazily influenced by the people around us. So it's leadership behavior of our direct leader, of course, because they have some form of power over us, even though we don't maybe not consciously think that. And then powerful influences within our teams. They're what largely drive culture, as well as the processes and systems of an organization. Yeah, so it's only two things you've got to work on to amp culture, but Agile's mastered how you do that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is great. I mean, obviously, whenever you talk of culture, you are thinking of Peter Drucker, but I'm not going to repeat that quote. I'll spare that.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, yeah. So culture, it's strategy for breakfast. Anyway,
yeah,
uh, yeah, you have got a second one, Brad.
yeah. So with customizing products or services, I think I just recommend think Google. Like Google is one of the best examples of agile in the world. What you experience, they are adapting their products and services all the time, but it doesn't rock the consumer's world. You still see that white Google screen with the box there. So it's how do you continuously innovate and adapt in a way that you're not rocking the customer's world with totally changing everything, but you're continuously improving in small steps. And they don't even know, like Google, you don't even know that they're evolving so much, but you know they are, and they're retaining you as a customer because of what they do. And that's what we need to do from a sales point of view too. Not come out dramatic big changes all the time. It's that rapid iterative small improvement that just keeps us ahead of the game. Spotify is a great example. There's so many out there that are great examples of this iterative small improvement, not big changes that just rock everyone's world. That's not what Agile's about, unless you're going to really game change things.
That's a great answer. Yeah.
Yeah, so the
Some more
size and
details.
composition, yeah. So the size has been studied like crazy. As soon as you clock over 8 people in a team, you start to lose performance. It starts to flatline. You hit 10 to 12, you're actually going backward in performance. It's just because of human connectedness. We can't connect as humans in a big team, but human connectedness in a team is critical to getting team performance. Of course, multiple brains will always outperform one brain. That's why I think in sales, we often look at it sales is an individual game, but I've seen that time and time again across the companies I work with that a small team that works together as a unit will outperform anything lone wolves. I don't know if everyone uses that term, as lone salespeople will achieve. the composition of a team is really easy. Who does the customer need in the team to deliver rapid, great outcomes every day? If it's just a salesperson, fine. But if they need technical capability, marketing, different elements, well, that's what we do in Agile. We build our teams based on what the customer needs, not just ourselves, our own divisions. How can we add the concepts of Agile? So most CRMs nowadays have a Kanban system like HubSpot does, Salesforce does, Microsoft CRM does. You can basically integrate Agile and be used in any CRM and basically gear up everything you need out of the CRM to run Agile Scrum and execute and perform. Programs like HubSpot also integrate customer journey mapping modules, and it's all becoming interconnected nowadays. And I work with a lot of those. Different clients use different CRMs that I work with, and that's how that plays out. So yeah, you don't need, you can basically all work out of your CRM. Most of them do it nowadays.
Okay, I think that was a great one. I think we had good interaction and great answers, Brad. Thank you so much, and I hope you go back to a happy conclusion to the cricket match that you left.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think England's out. We're 90 runs ahead, and we haven't lost anyone yet, so it's looking good.
Okay.
The Australia openers are back out. It's going well.
Wonderful. Enjoy your cricket match, and thank you again for joining us. And I'll see you again soon. I have
Thanks,
to talk to you about the new book. I have to talk to you
yeah,
about the
that'll
new
be
book.
great. Yeah, it should be a good one.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Catch
you.
you later.
Guys, we'll be
Bye.
back with TN